The demons that inhabit the warp are typically fickle creatures that refuse to serve, well, anything. It takes real skill, willpower, and more than a little luck for any mortal to ensnare a demon into their service, but it can be done. Whether it be a direct summoning, a possession, or even the creation of a demon engine, there are options for a bound demon to be used by those who seek to harness them. But there is one lesser known and arguably more ignominious way available too. The demons are sealed and bound in order to be gifted to mighty champions of chaos, whether mortal or demonic. They are diverse, in some cases infamous, but they are collectively known as Daemon Weapons. This is Tactica Imperialis, and welcome to 40k Stories. The creation of a demon weapon is not wholly dissimilar to that of a demon engine. It is arguably less dangerous in terms of the number of lives lost in its creation, but the process and the risks are still present and obvious. The idea in general is that a demon, either lesser or greater, aligned or undivided, is trapped within or otherwise bound to some form of conventionally forged weapon. In doing so, the weapon gains the demon's sentience and a measure of power as well, but there is little to no consistency as every blade, axe, or whatever else is entirely unique and based on the demon bound to it. Most demon weapons take the form of melee weapons, presumably because most demons fight in melee as we have explored in previous logs, though there are some capable of unleashing ranged psychic attacks, and some seem to class certain demon-infused artifacts as demon weapons too, for some reason. As to why there are created demon weapons, again, there is variance in the reasoning. Most weapons wielded by the Legiones Daemonica are classified as demon weapons, with the Hellblades of the Khorne bloodletters falling into the classification of forged and possessed by demons, though some don't meet the criteria in full. It is assumed that the Chaos Gods themselves designed the weapons somewhat, since they created the first demons, and thus presumably the first demon weapons to arm them for the battles of the Great Game. If the gods were not responsible, then I would wager that the unaligned Forge of Souls was responsible for it. It would also make sense for mortals to have first discovered the technique from the Forge, as it is from there that the ability to construct demon engines is harnessed. The creation of a demon weapon by mortals is much rarer than demon engines, mainly because it comes with great personal risk for the artisan. There's not an army of menials to get in the way if it goes wrong. The body and soul of the weapon's creator is probably instantly forfeit for failing to correctly bind demons, especially powerful ones. That's not to say it never happens though. As an example, the Black Blade wielded for millennia by Angron of the World Eaters was forged by the Dark Mechanicum in the Shadow Crusade. Mind you, once a demon has been bound and a demon weapon is forged, it is never truly considered safe to wield or even be around. To pick up a demon weapon, whether with the intent to use it or not, is to open your mind to corruption at the hands of the demon stored within. Some weapons can exert influence over those they strike or come into contact with, whilst others whisper in the mind without even having to make their presence physically felt. I would always guarantee that there are rare occasions where a demon weapon will whisper into the void for anyone to hear it, just hoping for someone to follow its promises and be ensnared into wielding it. For the weak-willed, it's game over then and there, as the demon will pretty much take over and take total control, though many weapons will only permit the strongest of mortals to bear them into battle anyway. For those, it is a constant battle for their conscious and subconscious minds to stay on track. Demons are insidious and devious as a rule, so keeping control is far from easy. Some demon weapons will be more compliant, though not normally right away. Their owner will have to show that they will not be trifled with, and any deal of a tandem or symbiosis is never to be taken at face value. If you can get past all of that nonsense, you may get a chance to swing your shiny new demonically infused sword around a bit, but even then, especially in the heat and bloodlust of battle, you must still be careful. A demon weapon offers incredible power to its wielder, as anyone who's witnessed or heard testimonies of demons in action could tell you. Sometimes this will be the weapon or demon lashing out against these foes in an urge to kill. Other times it may try to empower its wielder in some way so that it can keep the carnage going. But there's a catch, because of course there is, it's demons. One slip of concentration, one metaphorical drink too many from the well of demonic power, perhaps even one too many kills made with the weapon granting it too much strength, and the demon can take over parts of, if not all of, its wielder's body. If you need an example of that, then perhaps the most famous kill away from terror in the Horus Heresy was due to the layer blade lashing out to kill Ferrus Manus when Fulgrim showed indecision, which is another example, by the way, of the blades whispering their influence into someone's mind. Fulgrim obviously didn't have quite as much will as you might expect. In summary, therefore, demon weapons are a nightmare, and I have no idea why any mortal would forge one or wield one in battle. Sure, there's power to be had, but that power will also have likely devastating consequences for your body, your sanity, and your soul. The rules differ for the Legiones Daemonica somewhat, but still, horrible things, demon weapons. Don't go looking for one, it won't end well. Whilst every single one is to some extent unique, some demon weapons have been able to forge legends all of their own through their actions, those they have slain, and even through association with their wielders. Undoubtedly the most powerful of these known legends, perhaps one of the most powerful demon weapons or demons of all time, is the one wielded by a certain War Master of Chaos, Drach'nyen. The demon inhabiting and sharing its name with this weapon is feared even by the other Neverborn, who know it by many names, including the Shard of Madness. It is a shapeshifter too, a quality that the weapon also shares, though most know it only as a sword due to the will of its current wielder, who we'll get to in a moment. The common tale, whether true or not, surrounding Drach'nyen is that it was created or born the first time a human murdered another. This would make Drach'nyen tens, hundreds of thousands of years old, if not more, existing longer than the Chaos Gods have been awake, and it's an incredibly powerful demon if it's earned the fear of others of its kind. Due to its association with murder, it would be no surprise that Drach'nyen would be a murderous and malicious entity. With the blade it often appears to be writhing with the screaming faces of souls it has devoured. If you ever want to know just how powerful this demon was, and still is, let me run this one past you. The Emperor of Mankind could not defeat it. Not even close. In the closing stages of the War in the Human Webway during the Horus Heresy, Drach'nyen was among the demonic forces to assail the city of Kalastar that was on the border of the Imperial entry into the Labyrinth dimension. When the Emperor sensed the demon's presence, still ensconced as the Golden Throne in order to keep Terra secure, he realised the threat of Drach'nyen and set out to deal with it. It was at this point that the first sacrifice to the Golden Throne was made, buying the Emperor a day to leave the throne and enter the Webway personally as the demon's orbit overran Kalastar. The Lord of Mankind's goal was to cover the retreat of his armies out of the Webway, and he did so by going one-on-one with Drach'nyen. And he lost, well, after a fashion. After being impaled by the demon, now in the form of the sword most know today, he pulled it from his body and bound it to a custodian, telling them to run into the Webway rather than actually kill it. Drach'nyen was gone but far from defeated, and sometime after assumedly slaying the custodian it was bound to, it was locked away by presumably the Chaos Gods themselves, in a place known as the Tower of Silence. However, visions of the demon were able to enter the minds of two individuals, both competing for dominion over the traitor legions after the Horus Heresy, a sorcerer named Daravek and a certain Ezekiel Abaddon, first captain of the Sons of Horus and the lord of the reformed Black Legion. Abaddon was told that whosoever claimed Drach'nyen would cement their place as the new War Master of Chaos, and arguably the decades-long First Black Crusade was bent pretty much towards this goal. Narrowly slaying Black Templar High Marshal Sigismund and then dealing with his rival in the quest for Drach'nyen, Abaddon made his way to the Tower of Silence, slew its guardians and, with some help, navigated an ever-shifting labyrinth to claim the weapon for his own. Since then, Drach'nyen has reaped an unholy tally in Abaddon's service, slaying any who opposed the War Master that the Talon of Horus didn't get to first. It is unknown whether it has remained wholly compliant over the millennia, as arguably Abaddon represents its best chance of getting vengeance on the Emperor, living up to one of its other epithets, the end of empires. Next, we have one of the few demon weapons not wielded by a champion of chaos, but rather one of the Imperium instead. I speak of the Blade of Antwyr, a weapon I mentioned a long time ago in the log about the Grey Knights. You might wonder immediately why a Grey Knight is wielding a demon weapon, given their entire ethos revolves around slaying demons. But the reasoning is actually really simple. It's the only safe place for the Blade of Antwyr to be kept. Such is the corrupting power of this sword that the Grey Knights believe it too dangerous to store in Titan's vaults or reliquaries, and almost any mortal who took up the weapon, even with noble intent, would be completely lost to its influence. In fact, as the Grey Knights see it, there is only one individual capable of bearing the Blade of Antwyr, since destroying it is also impossible. That individual is the most incorruptible of all of the supposedly infallible Grey Knights, the Castellan champion of the Purifiers, who at this point in history is Garen Crow. The weapon constantly encroaches on the mind of the Warden of the Blade, as Crow is known, and he must battle it down with his psychic abilities, all whilst actually wielding it as his primary weapon. But even for the most incorruptible souls, there are risks posed by the Blade of Antwyr. If Crow's defences slip, or he accidentally taps into even a shred of the weapon's power, he's done. Soul lost, corrupted by the weapon that will likely turn him immediately on the Grey Knights as its mocking vengeance. Finally, I wish to discuss a God-aligned demon weapon. I mentioned the blades of Angron and Fulgrim earlier, but Khorne has another very interesting blade on offer for its champions. This sword is Kartoth the Bloodhunger, a weapon capable of reaving time itself somehow, and its wielder is known always as the Lord of Slaughter. But getting that title and acquiring the Bloodhunger is no easy feat. Khorne holds a tournament where Kartoth is hidden inside one of its demonic beasts known as Fleshhounds, with all demons of Khorne who feel up to the task joining a great hunt to catch it. It is a competition between them all, with many hunters and hounds, but one demon will eventually capture the Bloodhunger and become the Lord of Slaughter. Well, at least until Khorne grows bored with them and has a Fleshhound eat both them and the sword to begin the hunt anew. I know of no demons who have wielded the sword, suggesting it has mainly seen action on the battlefields of the Great Game, which I don't keep track of, but it could be that the Lord of Slaughter uses its time-rending abilities to wipe any knowledge of its manifestations from history. Who knows? Things get weird when you mess with time. And there you have it, a look into the nightmarish demon weapons. As diverse as the demons who often are placed inside or who wield them, these weapons are often as dangerous to their wielder as they are to their foes, able to lash out of their own volition or even dominate the mind and soul of those who pick them up. Whether in the hands of a greater demon, a Primarch, or even a warrior of the Imperium, none can deny the effectiveness of demon weapons, which is probably why people keep wielding them despite the catalogue of risks. For now though, we must move on. Next time, a probably shorter log on an individual who spearheads the conquest of an entire race. They're not as renowned as their chief peer, but there is absolutely a story to tell there. Thank you for watching Tactica Imperialis, and I'll see you all again. Goodbye.